Hi, I'm Sheila McManus. I'm one of the board chairs at the Teaching Centre here at the University of Lethbridge. Welcome to another Ed Talk. With me today is Dr. Andrew Hakin, Provost, Vice President, and Chief Operating Officer of the University of Lethbridge. Thanks for coming to talk to me today, Andrew.
Pleasure, Sheila.
So you are the first member of senior administration we've gotten to come from the Ed Talks. But I want to start with your history as a teacher, because you still have that reputation on campus as being a very passionate teacher. Not everyone who goes into academia winds up loving teaching as much as you do. Tell us about how that happened.
I think it comes more from the fact of my own personal journey and what I was exposed to as I was an undergraduate myself. I think when you go through an experience, you get to know what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy, and what you're learning and what you're not. And as an undergraduate, I definitely felt that I was not the focus of attention in many of the lectures that I went through. And I got to say, there were some excellent lecturers, there really were. But certainly there was a cadre of individuals who you knew you were interrupting something far more important. And I think it was at that time that I recognized that if I was ever going to get into it, in terms of teaching, I would let people know that I wanted to be there. Mm-hmm. Number one, I want to be there. Mm-hmm. And number two, I might have something interesting to say. And it won't always be as prepared. It might be off the cuff a bit. And I think that's it, really. It comes from personal experience. And then eventually when you do see a good teacher, you go, ooh, mm-hmm. That's how it could be. And I was very fortunate enough to have such individuals, particularly at the high school level, mm-hmm. who were very, very engaged. I tell a story about my chemistry teacher, and it is no mistake that I went into chemistry. My best teacher was a chemist mm-hmm. at high school, Mr. Watson, and I still call him Mr. Watson. I keep on telling the story to people, but it's true. My respect for him demands that I call him Mr. Watson. And he knew everything about it. He mm-hmm. knew how to engage with people. He knew how to get you engaged in the class, even though the subject matter was somewhat dense, mm-hmm. you know. I mean, he made it fun. And I think that, for me, defines a good teaching experience, is that you come away, you're not really aware instantly what you've learned, but you know you've had a good time at it, and therefore it sticks. Mm-hmm. And you've enjoyed the class, and an hour goes by in a blink of an eye, and before you know it, it's time to get up and leave. Mm-hmm. But you've retained something. And so that was my early introduction. And if I had to name one other individual, it would be my postdoctoral fellowship supervisor, Lauren Hepler, who was also at the University of Lethbridge for a number of years in its early foundings, who, when I came to North America, he was at the University of Alberta, mm-hmm. and I joined his group. And he was one of these guys that, when he was in front of a class, he would have an outline of where he wanted to go, but it was a dialogue. Mm-hmm. It definitely wasn't just someone at the front presenting something that was absolutely planned out to the last sort of full stop. It was definitely a dialogue. Where his lectures would go, you could never tell, because it was down to the interest of the class. Yeah. And to me, that's sort of inspiring, that someone would have that sort of insight into listening to a class and then moving off in any direction. Mm-hmm. So, you know, like most people, I guess, in summary, you kind of learn from the good and the bad experiences. Mm-hmm. And what I naturally learn to are those that I feel comfortable with, and that's conversational mode. Mm-hmm.
What do you think your strengths were then? As you began your earlier teaching career, you had these great mentors. Mm-hmm. I've heard you speak elsewhere about sort of models you had going through university of what mm-hmm. not to be and what you did want to be like. Mm-hmm. What do you think your strengths were like then?
I think I always took it very, very seriously in the teaching, because I never wanted to be pointed out as someone who'd been a poor teacher. Right? I never wanted, for my students, I never wanted that. I wanted to get it right. And I think, you know, like anybody who takes the job very seriously, it's all about preparation, mm-hmm. right? It's no good reading something a few nights before and thinking you're an expert, right? You've actually got to invest. Yeah. And that's the part that is important. And also, the way you address students, I think, is important. You can set up a dynamic inadvertently or with purpose in a classroom. And my purpose was to take down the barrier straight away and to let them know, even though, you know, I'm ready to talk about anything, that I was there to help them. Mm-hmm. And I think I purposely worked at that because, unlike popular opinion, I'm a naturally shy person. And I think what lecturing does is it's almost like a performance.
Yeah.
And if you get it right, you can come off stage at the end of your lecture and think, yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
I did that.
And you know when you've nailed
And
it.
you know when you've done it, and you know when you've got it wrong.
Yeah.
And in the early days, you know, when I was back in the late 80s, when I was first in the classroom, you know, there were times where I thought, I really need to rework that. It just wasn't right, or went down a wrong path there. And so reinvesting into the performance was how I prepared. And I never lost sight that, you know, it was my responsibility to connect. That's not to say you don't have your frustrations in the classroom. Of course you do, like anybody, you know. Sometimes things don't go well, the dynamic isn't quite how you want it. But I think being able to adapt is the way to do it, and challenge yourself. But fundamentally, I mean, every time you're in the classroom, my way of doing business was to be prepared. And I used to pride myself, even though it was, I used to teach courses in chemical kinetics, analytical chemistry, formula intensive. I pride myself, I don't need the notes. if I can't stand up there and do it,
Right.
how could I expect someone else to be able to get into it?
Yeah.
So if I can't write it out and I can't talk about it freely without having to, let's see page 36, I could never anticipate that my students were in a position to say, well, I understand that.
Right.
Either I know it or I don't. And if I don't know it, I should shut up and move on to someone else. So I mean, that's how I prepared.
Yeah. But it's interesting, the kind of open dialogue, two-way street sort of model, which is sometimes seen as something very new. I think a lot of good teachers have been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking about influences and role models, so before we get to kind of your jump to admin, you became a real role model for your department. And I say that now because even though it's not necessarily one of the bigger ones on campus, chemistry and biochemistry, it's a real pocket of strength in teaching. And I've heard those people sort of specifically give you credit as your kind of inspiration for them, role model for them. For a couple of them, you sat down and said, it's okay to love this, it's okay to be good at it. You can't sacrifice the research career, but it's okay to love teaching. How do you feel about being that kind of role model for the department? It's still technically your home department.
It is technically my home department for many reasons. It's, you know, I have to distance myself from them, which is sad in some ways, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a little bit scary, actually. I didn't know that. But I guess in conversations with some of my colleagues, the part about being an academic is that this is a massive part of your job. In fact, if I have to think about it now, and I've been in academia now 26 years at the University of Lethbridge, it's the reconnection with your former students and their memories that are the things that now hit me.
Yeah.
You know, obviously writing papers, getting grants, the success of research, it can be a very solitary thing, and it's a very enjoyable thing when you're in total control of that sort of piece. But these days, for me, it's reconnecting with those students that you influenced, and you didn't know you had, but you did. And I had an occasion to meet with a former student from the early 90s last week, who now is in the oil business and doing very well, but just thinking about acquiring acquisitions in Australia. And you think, and he said, well, you know, it was your courses that really helped me. And you think, wow, we didn't know that, you know, but, you know, we worked together. Those are the sorts of things I think in the later years, actually, you are absolutely making a difference. And the students you never hear from, you've actually probably made a big difference to them. They just don't feel the need to come and tell you, you know. But later on, as I say, this reconnection with students has been fabulous, and I've really enjoyed that. And keeping that network alive has been fun. I guess I've always viewed that to be an academic necessarily meant that you have to be a storyteller. And where else better to tell a story than with an audience? Go back to that analogy to the player. Life is a series of stories. You know, you get to be the sort of planner of the path as you give that story, and I think that's a fantastic job. And it's okay to say to people, although it might not have been vogue when I first came in, to say, I enjoy that. You know, it is fun. You know? I mean, you get to be with young people who are full of good ideas, many better than your own, who can take in very interesting paths. And you know, what a great job. I mean, what an experience, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that they actually pay us for this, that's fantastic. You know, I mean, so I guess I used to use that vocabulary quite a lot as a department chair, is that, you know, it's, students come to your department and want to be in your courses for a reason. You know, if it's boring, if it's straight from the book, they're not going to come. If there's a sense of excitement, if, you know, you've got a bit of passion going there, they kind of latch onto that. You know, it's very simple. It's not rocket science. You know, it's really not. And I think that's part of the enjoyment. You know, that others have been sort of listened to that. I'm quite surprised, but that's good. That's very good. Yeah.
You mentioned what you were saying just there is partly about the issue of retention, and you spoke about this at some length, the opening talk, the keynote address that you gave at our Spark 2015 conference, and that your full speech is available on the Teaching Center website. But you really honed in on the value of teaching in retention. What role do you think that plays?
Well, I think it's, you sometimes when you're at the front of the classroom, it's easy to forget the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that students have arrived at university for an education. And at the end of that is a credential. There are many options for students to get similar credentials. So what sets you apart? What sets U of L experience apart? The fact that we have inspired teachers, the fact that you have people who are willing to get into the science and the art of teaching and talk about it, I think is important. I think the students recognize that. They can tell you if you're a bad lecturer. If you just ask them, they'll tell you. I mean, you know,
you don't need to go to ratemyprofessor.com.
You do not need to go to that. They will tell you right up front. I mean, you know, and it's usually the biggest metric I usually find is attendance, right? I mean, if it's not going well, there are some subtle clues that are not so subtle. And the not so subtle is there's no one there, right? So, I mean, to be blunt, students will let you know exactly what they feel of your efforts as an instructor. And it behooves any sort of instructor to be very, very mindful of how they're doing, and are you connecting? Are you making that connection that will keep the student moving, not just through your subject, will create an environment for them to learn and move on. They're going to ask a very, very simple question at the end. Was this good value? Was it worth it? Did I get something out of this? And if the answer is no, then there are other options. And, you know, I don't want to talk about education as a commodity, but the reality is there are options, and you have to be mindful of that. So when you get passionate, engaged individuals talking with love about their subject, it makes a difference. Because anybody can, I believe, can crack a book and talk about anything. An educated person, that's a hallmark, right? You know, you read a newspaper article, you can likely talk for 20 minutes on that, but that's not what this is about. You have to have the insight, right? And the students get up to that very, very quick. They know. They're the best sort of arbiters of performance you'll ever have. And people who ignore that, I think you do so at your own peril.
Yeah, a lot of the conversation about retention focuses on lots of other aspects of what a university is, and it's about having outstanding research, yes, it's about having better supports for your students, yes, absolutely, but not often enough, I think, do we talk about how central teaching is. What happens in the classroom is where they're going to decide, especially at the first year, especially that critical first term for students.
I agree.
Who are their first 5 profs that fall, in a way, and I think that can just really make or break it.
You're so right. I mean, all the information that you can read about retaining students in post-secondary, that first semester, in fact the first 6 weeks, are absolutely critical. Now there's a number of socialization factors in there, but certainly if the social aspect is not going well and the lectures aren't going well, what's the odds of staying? Very, very slim. The next point is at the first semester break. How have things gone on reflection? You know, was there enough there to say, you know what, I'm going to commit to that? You know, again, I go back to what brings a student to a university. And for some, I've got no doubt that they have read a lot about the research activities and how they can become involved, but it didn't bring them here for the most part. It interests them to want to do more, but what brought them here was getting into a certain program and a credential that they believe will take them on a certain pathway. Have you enabled that? And so everything else then becomes, if you like, the added value that we bring. And research is the biggest added value you can. It absolutely informs what I used to do as a teacher. But the reality is, they didn't know that Andy Hakin was a thermodynamicist on day one.
Most people
what
still
is a
don't know that.
thermodynamicist? Right. I mean, so, I'm deluding myself to think that was a key factor.
I'm lucky
It
that I
had
know what
nothing to
department
do
you're
with
from.
it. And so, what are you doing in your spare time? Well, I'm a thermodynamicist. Oh, well, that's a conversation stopper. I mean, the reality is, me and 20 other people in the world enjoy that, and it's an interesting thing to do, but it didn't bring the students.
Yeah.
What brought the students was the sort of piece that you do in the classroom.
Yeah.
And so what you were able to pass on. And again, I think, focusing on the pure business equation.
Yeah.
Pure business equation is they came for a credential.
Yeah.
Enable that.
Yeah. I think that upper level students have a great understanding of what that research expertise means, because they're the ones who are going to begin to benefit from those contacts.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure that's what brings the first years to us and allows them to stay with us. We do so well at attracting from well beyond Lethbridge.
Yes.
Why do they come? Small classes. What does that mean? It means what's going on in the classroom.
Yeah, that's right.
Matters so much. What do you think we do better than many comparable schools?
Well, I think the first thing that we do better is we talk about it.
Yeah.
And I think that for me has been one of the most exciting pieces I've seen in my career, is that people are willing to talk about the art of teaching and instruction, and to recognize its sort of centrality in what we do, but also to be able to learn from each other and have an open culture of that. And what for me is, I mean, again, I'll go back to your first question in role models. There are individuals on our campus that do it all. Brilliant researcher, brilliant teacher, brilliant at service. And I wouldn't embarrass anybody by naming names here, but the reality is there are individuals who set the bar and who want to talk about teaching as much as they want to talk about research. And I think that's the sort of culture that academics should really thrive in, and that's the sort of person that we want. Keeping your career in balance, I always think, is an important part of it.
Yeah.
And I think at Lethbridge, the research is incredibly important. We are a comprehensive academic research institution, but I like to think we have it in balance. That is translated into the teaching performance of our faculty, and we take it very, very seriously. And I think that is something that sets us apart. To us, when it comes to the important decisions as you go through the milestones of your career, salary, tenure, and promotion committees, the discussions of teaching are important. It's not, they've got 5, 6, 7 papers a year for the last 8 years. Yeah, but what have they done with their teaching? How have they performed there? And I think our colleagues recognize that is absolutely important. It's not lip service.
Yeah.
It's real. And the investment in it by people is real. And I think that is something we can be proud of as a community.
And it's not new.
No.
Again, it's not just the younger generation of instructors suddenly passionate. There's, in fact, a significant group of people who've been here for decades and who have cared that much for that long. And I think they've really laid the groundwork for those of us who've come afterwards.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think we're a nice... so often the conversation around the quality of teaching in post-secondary is all sort of doom and gloom, and everyone's massive classes being taught by TAs, or the profs don't care anymore, whatever. It's always modeled on the really big schools where maybe that model holds true, and it's always so nice to be able to step and say, that's not my school. It's not my school. We have small classes. I would argue, given how I just made my point about senior faculty over the years, I think the quality of education continues to rise here because we care about it, because we talk about it, because we've got the teaching center.
And because people are willing to say what they're good at as well in the classroom. I mean, I know I've had myths shattered over the years, talking with certain individuals and watching them in the classroom. There are individuals here who can interact with 290 students.
Oh, yeah, that's a gift.
Right on. and I would say that's not for everybody.
Yeah.
And it'd be foolish to say, well, first year experience, put an instructor in there, see how that goes. No. There are individuals who can do that and who have genuinely sort of learned the art of connecting with 290, 300 students at a time. It's not for everyone. Yeah. And as an instructor, I think you've got to recognize that in yourself. There are those that absolutely excel with 5 or 6 students around them, more in environment. There are those, the more average size, the average, I think at U of L is 30-odd students. That's a really comfortable size, but I acknowledge that there are individuals who can absolutely master
Yeah.
the 300 classroom.
Yeah.
I could never have done that. About 110 or so for me. I used
Yeah.
to, because I like to get everybody's name. I used to enjoy that, but I've seen people sort of enact that really, really well. But again, it's through dialogue that you find that out, right?
Yeah.
And being able to
Yeah.
talk about it and being able to say, you know what, I wasn't comfortable with the course increase to 100 students this year. I worked better at 60. And having that sort of, okay, well, what can we do to put that right?
Yeah.
And talking about
Yeah.
the environment of teaching is really important. And, you know, that's something that we're trying to work on now in the university is the learning environment.
Yes.
Is it matched to your style? You know,
Yeah.
what a novel idea.
Yeah.
You know, is this the sort of setup that you actually would thrive in
Yeah.
as an instructor? Is this how you want it? Because it is your theater, right? It is your performance. How are you going to do this?
Yeah.
And I think we're trying to get to the point where we recognize that people have different skills and abilities, and the
Yeah.
environment actually matters.
Yeah. And I think that's another one of the strengths of the university, the teaching culture here that we can really point to, is that kind of work is ongoing. The Teaching Center has been doing that kind of research for a while, so that
Yeah.
we're still small enough that we can actually begin to move forward that way, which you couldn't at a bigger university.
No.
You know, and match space to teaching style. It simply couldn't happen.
That's right.
At any of the bigger schools.
I think it's been a very positive piece going forward, and I look at some of the things Teaching Centre and our colleagues have achieved, things like the scale-up.
Yeah.
Great experiment,
Yeah.
great outcome,
Yeah.
and
Wildly popular amongst the faculty and
amongst
students
the
who teach in
faculty
it.
and students, which is what you want. Again,
Yeah.
so a little bit of thought, a little bit of sort of understanding about what is needed and what matches a person's style. Very, very important.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that investment of time and effort to get it right actually pays dividends. So more of that to come, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the students know, because I taught a class this term that was too big to be in that room, but the students talk to each other because they say, why aren't we in that room? Well, you won't fit.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a fantastic moment because the students know.
Yeah.
You know, they know the quality of the education, but they know these other spaces are out there.
Yes.
And they were a little bit jealous that we couldn't
get
fit
in there.
into that
Yeah,
room,
yeah.
you know. But how do you think we can maintain our strengths going forward? So we've made the transition to comprehensive university, a lot, really significant expansion in grad programs now. How do we continue to maintain and develop our existing strengths in teaching, given the new directions of the university?
I think a lot of the basic elements are in place. Importantly, I think it's the culture of talking about it. That's number one. Getting people together and creating the culture where this is not something else that we do, that it's a primary focus, is an important piece. And I see that across the board with our faculty, that the discussion of teaching and wanting to see other ways of doing it remains an important part. And so I think it's embedded in the culture now. And I think that's important. I think the Teaching Centre has got the maturation to support that. And I think the changeover with teaching chairs, Board of Governors teaching chairs, etc., support that whole culture that, you know, we're a community of academics and we have different sort of strengths in that. We have strong researchers, but they're usually good teachers as well. We have teachers who are great researchers. We have the full gamut of activity, right? But people who are willing to say, actually teaching? Yeah. Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What are you finding? You know. So I think that's the base activity that you want, is that people understand its importance and are willing to get together and spend their time talking about how to improve it and make it better and find out what will make it better, whether it's physical environment or the way you interact with students, tips, tricks, talking. That's the first part. It's a conversation. And I actually will point to someone in particular. I will mention the name Dave Townsend on this one. I think Dave Townsend can be credited with a lot of the sort of kudos for saying, you know what, this is really important. Certainly one of the people in my early career who brought academics together to talk about teaching. And that's the start. That's what you want to do. It should never be viewed as, you know, or go to the Teaching Centre as a punitive message. Forget that. We're here to learn. As academics, we never stop learning. So let's talk about teaching and learn from each other on that one. And Dave Townsend was the guy who really sort of got at me about, this is what you need to do. And so I think that's important. Secondly, casting the sort of line a little further, is your commitment to grad students. What you want to do here, and I will say it didn't happen in my UK experience when I was a grad student, is we want to show them what good teaching is all about from day one. These are the tools you need. This is how you understand the classroom dynamic. Give them the training, such that when you're in front of students, you're going to feel comfort. Yes, you know, your stomach's going to be in knots the first few years, like everybody's, right? And if it's not, you've got a problem, right? You've got to feel that bit of anxiety, but give them the tools of the trade. Tell them what it's about. This is something you can actually work at and get better at.
Yeah.
You know, you can be as I say, an introverted thermodynamicist who learns to speak, right? And that's what this is about, right?
Yeah.
Putting your voice out there. So I think looking at the next generation via the grad students should be part of the comprehensive academic research institution mode of operation. Actually taking the time to say, well, if you do go the academic route, and even if you don't, being able to stand up in front of people and explain where things are going and instruct a group is an important skill. It's a leadership skill. And, you know, taking that very seriously and preparing them for whatever career path they go on in that way, I think is an important piece. But again, I think the way we present ourselves as a university, the way we talk about ourselves is absolutely important in this. You know, as I said, there could have been a tendency for this institution to go, well, you know, we've made it to the top level, we're a comprehensive academic research institution.
Yeah.
But the academic actually means something as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a translation of the experience.
Yeah. And I think there's different ways to keep modeling that for the grad students, because I think what I really enjoy is we're still small enough to have those multidisciplinary conversations about teaching. We're not just isolated in our own departments, however strong individual departments might be. It's perfectly normal to have those conversations across disciplines. And I'm hoping if we can model that a bit for the grad students that we get here, whether they're here for a 1 year, 2 year, or full PhD length program, that they've seen that and model that it's okay to love teaching this much. I mean, I had none of that training when I was a grad student. I gathered that you didn't. There wasn't a single workshop on how not to be a disaster in your first TA or
in fact,
lab job.
I would go as far as to say you were set up for disaster in many instances. Here's the material 2 minutes before you go in. So I mean, you know, we all know what not to do, and as I said, the students know when it's bad, and you know as the instructor when it's bad. So you know, that's the sort of cycle you got to break.
And show that it's possible to get better.
It is
and
possible
it's possible
to
you know, there's resources out here, there's help for out here. So we've talked about sort of the growth of the university and balancing research and teaching as we continue to grow, adding grad programs, that kind of thing. But in practical terms, what does that look like? Balancing research and teaching. Do we just pay lip service to it? Oh yes, of course we do this. Yes, of course we value both equally. How do we know that that's not just lip service?
I think those sorts of things will be translated in the overall student experience. Setting up the culture for our more junior colleagues coming in, such that they understand themselves that there's no lip service to this, creating the culture where a department takes responsibility for its curriculum and said, this is what we do as a group. This is what we like to see as a group when we're delivering our program. Such that if you have a new professor coming in, it's very clear that the department are invested. I don't think it can come from administration. I honestly believe that as academics, we set the tone. And so I'm taking off my administrative hat. We set the tone when we're in the classroom. No one can tell you how to do that. That's your course. And as a department, you own that curriculum. And you set the standards. And I think that's how you ensure that you've got this credibility going through and this quality. Is that within a department, when you're looking at curriculum, that it's not the last thing you do on the last Friday of the last month of the semester, that it's a constant thing of like, how are we doing here? Are there any choke points in the curriculum we have to look at? Is that experience supporting where we want to see our students go? Setting up that sort of thing from the grassroots level, which I think is the department. That's the cool face. That's where it all happens. You pass all the policies you want to try and enact that, but that is lip service. Because at the end of the day, you have people when you stand up in front of students, it's your performance. So I think that primary responsibility comes from the base academic unit, and that culture of then re-engaging constantly with what is happening in the field, and bringing that to the curriculum is important. We've got some colleagues who do that brilliantly, and it's a culture that seems to be growing. So not only are they striving forward on the research side, but they're integrating that into the teaching program and taking the teaching program in new directions. And so what you've got is, in a lot of areas in the institution, non-static academic programs that are constantly moving, they're constantly changing, they're constantly going back to best practice as understood in that time. And I think that's the healthy environment you want. If you lose sight of that as a department and it becomes someone else's responsibility, then the institution loses something. One of the great strengths I've always thought at U of L is that you don't need administrators to be telling you how to do curriculum. You don't need that.
And it doesn't go well anyway.
It doesn't go well anyway. You don't want to be doing that, right? People know, as an academic, this is where the fun is.
Yeah.
You've got a blank slate, create something really good.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about losing that, because I see it in some of the younger profs we've brought in, some of the younger instructors as well. They're engaged. They see the importance of the curriculum and how to keep the curriculum moving. Because, again, I'll say it, that's the lifeblood of the institution. And the way we infuse the research into that ensures that it will always be vital. But that's our jobs.
Yeah.
We're storytellers.
Yeah.
Get the latest news, bring the story back to the community, right?
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah, that's the critique to be made of, one solution you see bandied about sometimes is having a teaching-only stream. You just think, oh, that would just be, that's not what a university is. No. Because then you're divorced. If you care passionately about your teaching, hopefully it is fueling your research just as your research is fueling your teaching.
That's right.
And I hate the idea of divorcing it. Now, some people are very passionate about research and aren't perhaps the best teachers. Okay.
Yeah.
But to say that it's okay to only do one or the other is, I think, just a bad road
I
to
think
go
it
down.
goes hand in hand. And I would say that even if you have the most talented researchers, the only reason that many of us sort of progress on that path is the ability to talk to others about what we do.
Yeah.
So inherent in every researcher, there is a teacher.
Yeah.
It's a part and parcel of what you do. There's a massive book of I thought of that, but I never wrote it down, never talked to anybody about it. There's a massive volume.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever read it.
Yeah.
And never will, because the story hasn't been told, right?
Yeah.
And so I think within any educator is this need to talk to people, to tell them about where things are going. So the research teaching thing is absolutely hand in hand.
Yeah, and you're passionate enough about that subject to get a PhD in it and carry on.
Absolutely.
Just think about how you can tell the story, have a little bit of that passion to share with your students, and already, you're doing well in the classroom. I think we're lucky there too, because you think of the really outstanding teachers we have on campus, and they're very evenly spread around.
Yes.
There aren't any. At some universities there's departments with different reputations, and we don't have that here. Like, the good teachers are very evenly spread around across faculties, across departments. Because, as you say, bringing it back to that departmental level, those conversations about teaching can be driven by the department level.
And, I think what you see in the university at the moment is this reinvestment in quality and the understanding that it's good to talk about the quality of your program and to actually look at it and go, hey, you know what, we need to get into this again. And I think there's enough people sort of been around the block enough to understand that, that's the central point. So I've seen a massive investment over the last 10 years from my academic colleagues of getting back into that curriculum and fundamentally changing some of the directions they were going, and with great results. But that's what it should be. It's got to keep on evolving. Any institution that has had the same programs year in, year after, forget it. Right?
Yeah. We're young enough, but 50's still a good time to stop and think what we're looking at.
It's got to evolve. It's got to evolve,
Another piece of the evolution that we've got coming is the reinvestment in the refocusing on what liberal education means here. And you spoke about that in the 2012 It Looks address. And a piece of that has been also the new cohort program coming this fall. How central has teaching been to this refocusing or rethinking of what does liberal education mean here? What will this new cohort program bring to us?
Well, so I'll back up a little bit and say why would I sort of think about liberal education as a cornerstone, because there's no way I could describe myself as being liberally educated. but it's again one of those experiences that when you see it work well, you understand that it,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
I wished I'd had that.
Yeah.
Simply put, my view on it is that it's an essential preparation for life. The best people I've ever sort of been around and had the privilege to be around are those that can move off in new directions constantly. Never feel trapped by the confines of where they're currently at, and constantly can see a new direction. And I think central to that is this idea that they're liberally educated, that they don't get trapped in the usual confines of the subject and can move off in other areas. I certainly didn't get advantage from that as a student going through the UK system in the 80s. It was a very focused, it was almost pyramidal. I was focused to a very, very sharp point, to the point where my only other subject other than chemistry was mathematics, just to enable the chemistry. So
a break from chemistry.
What a break, yeah. And you know, you laugh at that and you think, well, how did I get this passion for everything else? Well, it was usually in your spare time, you know, to be honest, if you had any. When you see now this purposefully done within the curriculum, and you see our students and moving off and combining ideas in women and gender studies with ideas in human sexuality, or going through a stats class at the same time as taking biological science and animal physiology, you think, wow.
Yeah, I envy the
Wow,
breadth.
I envy you that, and I wished I'd had that opportunity.
Me too. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, could I stand back and say, well, you know, the outcomes for those students are worse than what I went through? Absolutely not. They're better. The outcomes for those students are better. They have, when I think about where I ended up with my PhD in chemistry, UK system was, if I couldn't have gone into chemistry, I don't know what I would have done. Yeah. Well, someone said, well, you become an administrator. Yeah, well, okay. But the reality is, when you look at the outcomes for our students, they have so many pathways open to them. And this ability, again, and something I greatly admire, to move off in these different directions, you think, wow, that has to be better. It has to be better. It's not that they're lacking in the disciplinary understanding. They've made the grade on that. But it's everything else that makes the package. You know, I think that's so important. And again, the way this is explained within the curriculum is important. The language we use is important. We shouldn't talk about the GLURs being a barrier to getting the major. It's not. Right? It's the fundamental underpinnings of what you'll use to move that major forward. Right? And so I think the vocabulary, this revitalization, that's why I wanted to do it, because I sensed there was this, it's hard to describe, but it was almost as if the curriculum was becoming a barrier to what liberal education was. In fact, liberal education was becoming GLUR, and it's not. That's just selecting courses from lists. And liberal education is way beyond that. And it's, you know, if we then default to that conversation about, oh, you know, pick a course here, pick a course there, it will become that. And it's too important to fool around with, in my view. So it's absolutely integral, I think, to the overall educational experience for a student coming to the University of Lethbridge. It is the underpinning that will be the difference for them as they go forward into the workforce. I just think they're so well set up to deal with whatever comes at them. I mean, if you look at the last few years, the way the economy has changed so rapidly, what you need is adaptability and resiliency. A finely tuned skill set like my own in thermodynamics, not so good. You know, so this ability to say, okay, hit that roadblock, I'm going off in this direction now, that's what our students do. And I think we set them up well with that. So I think it's an important message. I think it's growing in importance, and I think we need to talk about it a lot more as to why it's important to our students. I get wrong for saying it, but I'm going to say it again. I honestly believe it to be the Swiss Army knife of education. It's
I like
a tool
that
for every single occasion. It's the sign of an educated person to be able to move off in any direction, and that's what we provide.
I'm really pleased with how teaching has remained central to it, because so many conversations about liberal education can become about the content,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Lists of general lib ed courses, or canons thou shalt be familiar with, or whatever. And I think it's really something to be proud of here, that the pocket of people who have worked most closely on that revitalization also happen to be some of our best teachers currently on campus.
Yeah.
So we never lost that focus on lib ed is also about education. It's about what teaching and learning. It's about what happens in the classrooms. It's not just about manipulating lists of courses and coming at it from a content perspective.
It could be very mechanical, but as I said,
it could be mechanical, exactly.
Except it's not, and it's
when you get your best teachers working on a project like that, then teaching and learning and retention and everything else.
It's very organic, and I think that's the way it should be. And if we were guilty as an institution of falling into a trap, it was the structuring of the GLUR lists. And that's a personal opinion. I've got colleagues who disagree with that.
It was a point you made quite firmly in your 2012 address,
I
right?
did. I did. And I took some criticism for that, and continue to take some criticism for that. But it has to be more.
Yeah.
Liberal education is not GLUR.
Yeah.
It's not GLUR lists.
Yeah.
It's way beyond that.
Yeah.
And as I said, you know it when you see it.
Yeah, and why not combine it with our existing strengths in teaching? I think for me the two have dovetailed so nicely throughout the history of the university, because we have this very interesting, quite innovative history of liberal education here. I think it's because even back in the day it required quite innovative teaching was going on here right from the get-go, because of this quite off-the-wall system we had in the 1970s.
Yes.
And I think 50 years later we're still trying to live up in a way to some of that early innovation.
When you consider that main University Hall, level 6 of University Hall, it was designed for innovative teaching in the early 70s. So it was imagined that when students came out of the lecture theatre, those stacked seats that we have, that was to have the students sit around you after a lecture to talk through what you've just done. Now, if we were to do that, wow, what a great idea. Well, we were doing that in the 70s. That's what was happening. And so you're right, it's been infused into the experience here for a very long time.
It's not something we're having to try to figure out.
No, we're
now.
not having to recreate this. I mean, we're not starting from scratch. It's been part of our culture. In fact, the place has been set up to sort of support it. So it really has been true to the roots. And I think for us as a university, it has the ability to set us apart without compromise of any part of our mission. It goes so well with the research agenda, so well with the teaching agenda. It's an absolute piece of glue to hold us together.
You've mentioned a couple times the move into administration, so I'm going to ask, you've spoken, I've heard you speak at other times about, you feel like a bit of a fraud when you come back to these teaching contexts because you've been out of the classroom for so long. But talk to me about that move. So a really passionate teacher makes the move to admin, but you've got to leave the students behind. What does that feel like? How do you think you have carried that teaching passion still into your various admin roles?
It was a tough one. I'll just be very upfront. It was the hardest part of my move into administration, was not having the daily contact with my students. My students, how dare I?
Because you still speak of them in the first person as if they're yours, right?
And so that was bad. I mean, I do confess I had anxiety about it. And what I did in my first year, I went into the AVP, Associate Vice President's position. And that was 2005. And I thought, well, I'll still teach a course. Well, it's just, it wasn't fair on the students, and I knew that as I went through it. It wasn't the experience that I wanted. I knew I could give, and I felt completely compromised. And what's more, good colleagues, I was having to rely on them at a moment's notice to jump in, and that's no good for anyone, right? So I recognized after that one experience in a course that I had built, created, and enjoyed over the years that I had to stop, because just doing it wasn't enough. If you can't deliver it the way you feel good about it, you should stop. And I did. But I certainly had multiple years of anxiety as I left it behind. And so what did I do? I went off to talk to the students' union executive or whatever. I make sure I'm ready for it, and I enjoy that. I still enjoy being with the students, but it does feel for me that in sort of the administrative position, it's very easy to become disconnected with what I believe to be the core business.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So my experience with students is a very limited group who are highly engaged individuals.
Right.
You know, the most engaged individuals you can possibly imagine, right? So I get a very unique subset of, so everything is like, everybody's engaged around here, it's all good, right? But it's not, you know, the general experience that I enjoyed for many years. And so, you know, you then realize that there are other pieces that you can do to try and give back, right? And so for me, it was the reinvestment in quality assurance. Okay, so what can I do from a distance to ensure that the experience is uniform, is of high quality for the institution? I can say that we need to put in structures that will look at our degree programs and, guided by our academics, will ensure that, you know, we're constantly looking at things and asking questions. I can get into liberal education and say, you know, I've got some thoughts about this. And if, in a sense, use that administrative position to say, are we thinking about this still? Is this what we're doing? What do you want to do? At the end of the day, you know, you recognize early on in administration that you don't get to make the decisions. You get to ask questions. And other people then decide if it's a worthy question or not. But you can't do anything by yourself, right? Without people who actually say, hey, you know, that's a pretty good question. I'll look into that and I'll get into that. You couldn't do anything. So that's how I, you know, in a sense, got back to my passion for curriculum, is by doing these other supporting rule acts that help to move things forward. But I fundamentally believe that the role of administrator is not to dictate where curriculum goes. You can ask questions, but that has to be owned by the faculty. And if it's not, that's when an institution has problems. If you get the faculty sort of disconnected from the academic mission, you've lost your way. You know, so definitely the hardest part. Definitely the hardest part.
So, but is it worth it though? And what I'm thinking here is, I think that's often the case. The most passionate teachers are least interested in moving on because you have to leave your students behind. But the advantages, if I can speak from the other side of this now, is, you know, I think in general we have an administration who cares deeply about what we do here. Of course we do. But the teaching community on campus, the really, you know, kind of over-the-top passionate community, still see you as, Andy gets it, right? Andy gets it. So there's the value in having you in that position because you're seen as somebody really gets it fundamentally, you know, on an upper level. So how do we maybe encourage more of the really passionate teachers on campus to consider maybe the compromise of leaving your students behind for a while to serve at a different level? What are the other gains?
I think people understand you can enable, and I think that becomes the point, right? And you know, as individuals, I do believe we evolve as academics, and certainly I had the privilege of being able to start my academic career very early. I'd spent 15, 20 years in the classroom developing what I thought about it before I considered the move. But as I said to you before, my view of academia is that you have to be, you know, and I don't know who told me this, but I just feel it, that you've actually got to do everything in balance, right? But there came a stage for me where I wanted, control is not the right word, but I wanted a finger to see if I could move things in certain directions, right? And that's what it became. It's like, can I influence a bigger group amongst getting together and making a difference? And people tell me off for this one as well. I say to people, my biggest compliment to anybody is go make a difference, right? And I think I looked at it in terms of where could you make the biggest difference to as many people as possible. And I think where it's at in the university is in the classroom. And I like to think the research informs that. But the reality is the biggest difference you can make is right there. Right? So how can I then expand that and get beyond my group and perhaps begin to influence a little bit on a larger scale? And that's what attracted me. So what was one of the first things I did? Well, That was the Centre for Advancement and Excellence in Teaching and Learning.
Was that name your fault?
No, that was David Townsend and Pamela Adams. And, you know, but that's the sort of thing I could do, right? All of a sudden I could, without interfering in things, I could actually build a structure to support that activity. And yes, we eventually became sensible and called it the Teaching Centre. But, I mean, it was important to do that sort of thing. But it was purposeful. It wasn't abstract. Oh, you know, woke up this morning, I thought we'd have a teaching centre.
Yeah, yeah. All the cool kids are doing it. We should have one.
Yeah. It was building from the capacity we had and seeing people who really wanted to do it, and in recognizing that if you want a university to get a reputation for excellence in this area, these are the supportive structures you have to put in place, and then not pay a lip service to it, but actually support it. So what did we do after that? Well, we then looked at the Board of Governors teaching chair because there was an asymmetry.
Yeah.
You can't be saying, well, you know, we think research is so important, we're going to give you some ability to do more. Well, what about teaching then?
Yeah.
How do you connect that? So then we brought in the Board of Governors teaching chair, and that was a purposeful piece, teaching fellows, counsel for the teaching centre early on. Again, all trying to promote and change a culture, or not change the culture, but enhance it, bring it up, bring it to the top. And, you know, that was purposeful. So that's what I would say to people is that, you know, you get to a point where you say, okay, this is so much fun, how can I have more? Possibly. And then not. But, you know, how can you begin to influence things both locally and then provincially? You know, so in the last while, we've worked on pieces about the quality of post-secondary, and I've been instrumental in some of that and asking serious questions about why we're doing it. Why do we do it this way? And
especially in sort of a difficult financial situation and difficult political situation. There's a lot more pressure on universities now to say what we do well, and justify ourselves in a lot of ways. And
it's very easy to forget as you go through this. You know, the fundamental piece is that you're going to be much better off with an educated society.
Yeah.
Fundamentally. And if you put all your eggs in one basket, one trip, and it's all over. And that has been my message to the government of Alberta for a lot of years, is that you can never go wrong with ensuring you have a good educational system. It is the basis of moving everyone forward. If everybody comes up, education is one of the only pieces that can do that. Education and health. Get them right, and everything else falls into place. What a surprise. You know, I mean, but in the sort of maelstrom that is politics and economics of a province, that can sometimes, those very simple facts can get lost, right? But, you know, I think the reality is that's a message that is never lost on anybody, is that if you want to make a difference, what do? You look after people, you educate them, and you make sure they're healthy.
And in a way, a strong, clear message about teaching is sometimes an easier sell than a strong, clear message on research. It isn't always the easiest job in the world to translate for pure research, right? Basic research is sometimes challenging to sell to the public. But
and it's non-self-serving.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so there's no agenda in it.
Yeah.
The mode of operation is everybody will benefit from this, not just me and my research group. Which, you know, I mean, there's a role for that. There absolutely is. Now, I would never speak against that. But the sort of educating people is the most important part. I mean, you know, and so that's the reason. I mean, you know, that's why the move to administration. Yes, I lose my students, but I get a lot of other classes to talk to now. And sometimes, you know, they don't describe themselves as students, but I never want to miss that opportunity to impart what I think is important. You know, been trained by the best.
Absolutely. So if you had to speculate, so given we're coming up on the 50th anniversary, given the strength of the teaching community here, the strengths that the university has had, continues to have, what does the future of teaching look like at U of L?
Well, that's a great question, because I think at 50 years, you begin, whatever you are, whether an institution or a person, you begin to look and think, well, okay, that's been interesting. What's next? In terms of an academic institution, I would say that the U of L is transitioning through adolescence. we're beginning to understand
We're
what we want to be.
a 50-year-old adolescent.
Yeah,
That's awkward.
Yeah. Well, when you consider, well, yes, when you consider we're dealing with other institutions across the world, and I do think you can't just think about your local environment. You've been going from the 1400s, where some would describe us as a kid. But I think in 50 years we've made tremendous strides, and it's appropriate to ask what is important. And I don't think it's arbitrary that we're still talking about liberal education with passion and commitment. We've recognized, I think, as an institution that it holds a central part, and it will hold an increasingly important part as we move forward. We're talking about the teaching experience as we design our new science and academic building. And we're asking the questions, what sort of a teaching environments will serve us in the future? Not just today. It'd be very easy just to create bog standard classrooms and say, well, this is what we've got now, so that's what we'll design for the future. But we're not doing that. We're purposely blurring a lot of lines between teaching and research in the environment in which teaching and research will be done. We're blurring those lines. And we're asking fundamental questions about what is the experience that we want to create within the institution. And I think as you move through 50 and, the science academic building becomes the first sort of phase of that, we then ask the question in the rest of the university, in University Hall, how do we redevelop that? How do we become true to our purpose again for the next 50 years? How will that environment now support our mission for the next 50? And I think that's an important piece as we look back and we also look forward. What have we learned? What can we take with us? And what will we say that's not us anymore? And I think as an institution, we're willing to take those questions on. And I think we're making, as a community, some very solid decisions about what direction we want to go. And I think they're all positive. I think we're on the brink of that adolescence emergence into, if you like, the next 50 years, you'll see enhanced maturity at the university, both in purpose, mission, and the way we overall will do business on teaching and research, and we'll have the facilities to do that. As educators, we have to learn from where we've been and what we've seen, and I think that's what we're doing. So I see nothing but optimism, quite honestly, for the next 50, and I think we're on a path that it's definitely in our hands, and that's a good feeling. And I sense a momentum, I sense an energy, both in teaching and research in this institution that will serve us well. And I'm very excited by that, obviously. You can't not be. You can't help but smile when you see it.
That seems like a great way to finish. So thank you again so much for coming to talk to me today, Andy. It was a lot of fun.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks.